I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to walk through just kind of where we are at the moment and then allow time for any questions or conversations that you all would like to have. I know you had some conversations up front. That's great. We have, I think I saw 4 different council members in the room to join us here to also listen in and be available to chat if you so choose. And there are myself, I'm Scott McCall, City Manager. Some of you had a chance to chat with Rachel Bianchi, Deputy City Manager, Public Works Director. It's been a long week. Audrey Starzy and the City Attorney, Carrie Sand, is here. So we're all here to be able to answer any questions and provide any other context that you might want to share with us. And so thank you all for coming tonight. Mayor Howe, if you'd like to.
I'm just going to say thanks for being here again. And I have a feeling that the star of the show are going to be the maps. And so Scott does have a couple of slides to walk through, which kind of set the stage to a certain extent. We're really hoping that we're very close to having this nailed down, and I'm looking forward to your feedback. So I think the important thing that we get tonight is the opportunity to listen to you give us direction actually on which preference you have, because there's something out of column A or column B that you can choose from to see what works best for your particular circumstance, and that's what we need to hear. So we've got Deputy Mayor Amy Lamb over here. I believe we've got Councilmember Sid Gupa there. We have Councilmember Treen in the back over there. And as I said, I think the star of the show after we finish with the slides is probably going to be the maps that we're all going to hover around anxiously to look at. So again, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mayor. So really quickly, and I can't stress this enough, we really do apologize for the confusion and frustration that got us here. Not the best, it's not how we want to do business, and we will definitely do better moving forward. Tonight we want to share out the findings of our research, including the documents that were shared by residents. We want to thank you for providing those, and also we had additional third-party review from third-party counsel to make sure that we got this all correct. So just want to reiterate, our commitment continuing moving forward, and it has not stopped, is to continue to serve the streets in the Inglewood neighborhood for the ones that we have historically served. So, what that means is snow and ice removal where appropriate, vegetation and debris management, pothole repair, permitting, parking enforcement, all those pieces. There will also be no change to any of the other non-city services that are provided, such as mail delivery, Amazon packages, etc., and solid waste. Sorry, I get those that work with me know by the end of the day I always sound like this. My apologies. So this is the map. Some of you had a chance to see the maps on the boards. These are all the same. The streets in green are the ones that we have found documentation that the roads were deeded to the city for public use. The ones in yellow are just a few little minor spots. Those of you that live in those areas should have received a direct letter. We'd like to work with you directly on those. Talk a little bit more about that on the next one. And then Mike, if you would. So as I stated earlier, what we found is most of the historically served streets in Inglewood are public and not private. Those are the ones in green. Like I said, most of these streets we found out were constructed, deeded, and dedicated by private property owners and or developers, and they were accepted into the county system by multiple resolutions in 1965. It was a little bit after Inglewood Hill Road itself was built and opened. It was later on that summer. We found some other segments that were deeded to the county later by other property owners, a couple in 1969. And then city received ownership of all those when the city incorporated in 1999. I do want to say that none of that documentation came to the city when we incorporated, but that is not a reason for not knowing it. Some of these streets were still being evaluated. Those are the ones in yellow, as I stated before. We continue to try to track down documentation on those. If you are in one of those streets, like I said, you should have received a letter, and we will work with you individually to find a permanent solution. The city will continue to serve those regardless. Those are historically served streets, and we will continue to do that moving forward. If you received a letter, Rachel was the one in the back. It was her name and phone number and email on there. Please do reach out to her directly so we'd love to work with you individually to figure that out. And then again, this is just to continue our commitment to the neighborhood and to continue to serve. Can't stress this enough. We will be continuing to work on pieces. Why don't we jump to the next slide, Mike? So one option is council could adopt a resolution that talks about the background, talks about the type of service that we provide at Sense Corporation, makes the statement that all these streets are public and we will continue to serve them, and it acknowledges the unique nature of Inglewood streets and our commitment to develop neighborhood-specific standards for those streets as we move forward. So if we were to do that, the question would be, what kind of language would you want to see additionally in the resolution? And is there anything in there that we might have missed? So this would be, in essence, this would be a public declaration, if you will, to help for the future so there would be no confusion. Council would adopt the resolution. It doesn't have any material impact other than to memorialize this for moving forward. So that is one option. We would love to hear how that resonates for all of you. And the other option is that we can continue to serve and we don't need to do that. We could work with individual property owners on those yellow pieces and move forward. I think there is a desire from the council to memorialize this in a meaningful way to make sure that we don't bump into this into the future. But that's what we'd like to chat about. Hold on to that for a quick moment. And then just to be clear, to make sure that this won't happen again, we are moving these into our standard operating procedures. When we bump into these unique situations, where should we go look for these types of things in the future to make sure that we are doing all of our due diligence? I want to be really clear about that. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. We made a big one, and we want to make sure that we do not repeat that in the future. So this is our commitment. We're going to reach out and do all these things and make sure we run everything to ground before we take any action. And in planning for the future, we do want to meet with the neighborhood and talk about public works street standards as we move forward. And that would be specifications for design, construction, and maintenance of the rights-of-way in Inglewood, because they are unique. We will be commencing that work this fall. Our desire is to develop those standards that recognizes your unique nature and is something that works and maintains the streets as they are and the widths and all those kinds of things to make sure that you all are not impacted as we move forward. So there's a lot of planning for the future that is happening right now. Some of it is citywide, but some of it is specific to Inglewood. We are looking at our capital improvement plan. Part of that is there is an Inglewood Hill Sidewalk Gap project that is going on. We are starting our pavement management strategic plan, including mapping all the streets in the city. I believe, if I'm correct, Audrey can blink twice if this is true, that the mapping truck should be coming around sometime this fall into the Inglewood neighborhood to map all the streets in the community. In 2 weeks. All right, fantastic. We are working on the bike and pedestrian mobility plan. That's going to be completed later this year. We are working on our overall public work standards right-of-way and right-of-way code update. We are working on our strategic streetlight enhancement plan. I challenge you to say that 3 times fast. And we are updating our transportation master plan as part of all that. So there are a lot of opportunities, if you so choose, to come be a part of that and engage with us. And we would love to hear from you and what your thoughts and concerns are. So with that, here are some resources. I know some of you know those. That My Sammamish address is, you can download our app or go on the website. If you see a pothole or down anything, you can go submit that. The team, the Public Works team will receive that. They will acknowledge receipt of it, and then we will put it on the list to follow up on. So that's a great way anytime you see something anywhere in the city, but in your neighborhood in particular, where you can let us know there's something we need to address. So at that point, I've done a lot of talking. I think I'd like to turn it over for a couple different questions. And I do want to say, when we're done here, all of us will be available to have, if you'd prefer to have a more individual conversation or you want to stand at a map, we are happy to do that, and we will all be available for that. But maybe I'll just take a little bit of a head nod poll over, does the resolution sound like an appropriate path? Just, yes, I'm seeing, all right. Okay, no, that's great. That's what we want to hear. I completely appreciate that, and for that, we are recording this, so I'm just going to say what I heard is that we want to make sure that this never happens again, so we want to memorialize it for that reason. Is that a fair statement? Okay. Yeah, Rich, if you would.
Just a technicality, because I don't know. Is it better to use a resolution or an ordinance, and why do you pick one or the other? Maybe legal can answer you.
Yeah, I'll take a run at it, and Carrie can verbally kick me if I go astray. But for this one, a resolution is appropriate because technically, because the roads have already been made public, the resolution wouldn't necessarily change anything. And so if we were to actually change something, we would maybe want to use an ordinance. But in this case, we're memorializing. And it is a public-facing document, but we're not actually, we generally use ordinances to do things like change our code, for instance. So a resolution is still has the same impact, if that makes sense. So that's a great question, though. Thank you. Sure. But just for clarification, all the Inglewood roads were dedicated through resolution. So it's different things have, different ways to do it. So for the resolution itself, was there anything else that we need to add in there? And I would say, we plan on talking about things like when all the roads were dedicated, what services we've been providing since incorporation, the unique nature of the neighborhood, how we want to ensure that services continue in perpetuity. Those would be all pieces of the resolution.
The language I would like to see is like on the third bullet, the services are public and have always been, or have been since 1800, whatever.
Sure.
Some, not like just now, but for a
Right.
while.
Yeah, no. That's a great point, and thank you for clarifying that. Absolutely. Other thoughts? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Rich, Rich is our, helps run the IT for our meeting, so thank you, Rich.
Yeah, I'd like to see information on emergency services access and making sure that that is universal across.
Okay. Yeah, we can put something in about emergency service access.
So you talk about the unique nature of the neighborhood and the future planning. What's anticipated within the neighborhoods and the major streets? And is that going to mean financial impact to homeowners, or is it all bared by the city?
It's all, whatever we do, or it will be borne by the city as a whole, because the neighborhood is part of the city. So it would be part of our regular process for whatever it is we do, whether it's pavement mapping to as part of that, or for the. But one of the things about the Public Works standard is we want to make sure that we are not putting a standard in that the neighborhood can't possibly meet. Because roads are different sizes in different places in town, and we don't want to have a one-size-fits-all that then would make it so that you couldn't do any improvement because we would need so much roadway to do that. So I want to make sure that we are not, again, that when we get to this point, we have the conversation with the team that's doing that work so that everybody understands what that means and what it looks like. And so that's the neighborhood-specific piece. Inglewood roads are not as wide as some other roads in the city, not even close. And you all know that because you live there, but some of the roads get pretty narrow, and we recognize that we need to acknowledge that and plan around that, and not try to make them bigger because there's not space to do so. And so that's the part where we want to be really clear that we want to make sure that we are working with the neighborhood to get to something that is functional and will help the neighborhood as we move forward.
Thank you.
But that's a great question. Thank you.
This might be related. I just want to ensure that the verbiage indicates that not only will historically provided services be continued to all of these green and yellow streets within the Inglewood Plat, but that any new services that might be provided to other streets within Sammamish are going to be included into these street maintenance programs as well.
Certainly.
That services would be uniform across the board and that we aren't going to somehow be relegated to only those services which have been historically provided.
Fair point. Fair point. Totally appreciate that. And again, Michael, you go back to all the work we're doing. One of the pieces, and just to go back to this for a quick minute, is we're doing this across the board for everybody. And so the only purpose of this is to say that we're doing a lot of work around streets and mobility and all that kind of stuff citywide, and that it includes the neighborhood, to your point. So thank you for clarifying that. I think that's a great point.
So in critical areas, you just don't have the width as well. And I know that some of the public works standards, they require sidewalks. So you end up with these little sidewalk curbs that just kind of get left all over. That would probably actually make the safety worse. So in considering Inglewood and other streets that aren't as wide in critical areas, I think you should make sure that that gets incorporated with the work you're doing for public works standards.
Thank you, Mary. And just want to say that there will be a lot of opportunity for public comment when we get to be working on the public works standards overall. And we intend on working with the Inglewood neighborhood in specific because, again, your roads are a little bit unique in that regard. One question in the back.
Yeah, my question is in regards to the
I'm not the only one. I feel so much better. Thank you so much.
in regards to the funding of the neighborhood services. Now, traditionally there have been annually slightly decreased every session or every 2 years or something. But the services that are being required, those like landscapers and whatnot, their services costs are going up. So even though it's slightly going down over a long time, we're not getting as much value for the money that is budgeted to the upkeep or maintenance of our environment.
So costs are going up across the board. I think we all feel that in a lot of ways. We continue to strive to be as efficient as absolutely possible to use the dollars as best as possible across the entire city. And so there are places, I'm sure, where we aren't able to do as much as we used to, but we do try really hard to maintain a high level of service with the resources that we have. We're working, council is working. Council is, I want to acknowledge Councilmember Stewart has joined us. We're working collaboratively to make sure that we can be sustainable moving forward financially while still providing a high level of service. And so that's a continued conversation with the community that we'll have this fall as we talk about our budget again. So would encourage folks to get involved in that if you have thoughts as well. Thank you.
Hey, Scott, and Carrie Sand, there was a lot of information that wasn't easy to find that was ultimately found, which really helped shed light on, King County ordinances from 1964 and so forth. Should those be referenced or listed or included to be part and parcel with this, so they don't have to be unearthed again. And I'm not saying they should be, but this is kind of a unique situation. So should those resources be made a part of this so they're easy to have or see if ever needed in the future?
Absolutely. And so one of the things that we are going to do is list out everything that we have found that relates to all the different, whether it's a resolution or it's a different action that was taken to make the road public, where all those will be listed out in the resolution, to your point. And it's a great point. Again, want to make sure that it's really clear where they are and how you can find them. I don't know that we are going to add them all to that because there are a number of documents, but I think we can reference them as a way of saying they all exist, excuse me, and here are the specific references to those. But thank you.
That was an excellent question and great answer. I've also been attending water district meetings from the Sammamish Plateau Sewer and Water District for about 10 years, and they heard about this, and they will have to individually go review and see what impacts or not to where they have water or would add water or have sewer or would add sewer to get from septic. So instead of making them do a giant public records request, if the information is put online so that everybody can see it and they can get to it. And then there's all those other utilities that I don't even know how to reach. So I think that's super important. Thank you. And thanks for finding all the info.
Sure, and we do work pretty collaboratively with the Water Sewer District, particularly when we get around projects like that. So, but we're happy to share out that information with anyone that would like it.
I'm going to go back to the original idea here. So memorializing, why did you choose that word? And what are other options for that particular word? It's just unique, so
In this regard, apologies if I use the wrong verbiage for that. It is a way to make a clear public statement that stands time. Resolutions are binding until they are either repealed or changed. And so I think what our desire is to make a very public statement that clearly lays out that the roads are public and will be in perpetuity moving forward, so that there is no confusion in the future.
okay. I just had never heard memorializing, so I didn't know where it might have come from. I'm not questioning it.
No, it's a great question.
Trying to understand.
and-
Did you kind of brainstorm other words that might have been in that place too? I don't know. Nothing quite that bad.
As I shared with the council, no, I'm a bit of an extemporaneous speaker. I don't generally work with notes. I generally try to pull things together and then speak, just from straight up. So if I use the wrong word, I do apologize. But yeah, it's just to make it very public. Well, I do want to be respectful of everyone's time. I want to thank you for listening and engaging on this. I really want to thank you all for coming out again. And again, I do want to sincerely apologize on behalf of all of us that we had to put you through this, and really hope that this is the start of working together to rebuild trust and to rebuild a relationship so that we can get to a better place. And so thank you so much. All of us are going to be here hanging out. We'll spread out among the maps if you want to chat about things. I know some of you had a chance before the meeting started. Yes.
I would just like to ask that if passing this resolution simply effectively declaring that these green and yellow coded historically served streets are public, why has it taken 5 months to come to that conclusion? And can it be done as quickly as possible so that this can just be over?
Both are great questions. So the answer to the first is, and thank you for those. The answer to the first is, we had to do a lot of deep digging to try to find, and we're continuing to work on the pieces in yellow to find those if and when they were made public. And so some of those have been a little bit tougher, and we continue to work on that, but our commitment is to try to run those completely to ground. And so that's why we have waited, and we wanted to make sure that we had it all as wrapped up as we possibly could. And to answer your question, if you all are okay, what we'd like to do is bring it to council on Tuesday night. Bring the resolution to council on Tuesday night and have them take action. So if that works for folks, I think that was the.
Would that then end the need to continue searching for specific types of evidence for the yellow stretches of road?
So if you are on, and I believe you are on one of those yellow stretches of road, it's totally fine. My expectation is that we will hopefully find something. But if not, then it is individually, and this is what if you haven't chatted with Rachel, please do, but it would be your choice.
But does it become a moot point if you declare that all of the roads through this memorialization process are indeed public?
It depends on your level of comfort, is what I would say. If that works for you, then great. If you would like more certainty than that, then we are happy to work with you, is what I would say. Because at the end of the day, all the roads in green, we actually found documentation. That's why we continue to search to see if we can find actual documentation that the roads were made, specifically declared public through action. And if not, then you all have individual options for what your comfort level is. I think from our perspective, we are not going to stop serving those roads at all. We're going to continue to serve your road, just hard stop. So again, it's your comfort level about whether or not you want specifically to have something that says legally that it was declared publicly, or does the resolution do that for you?
Assuming that we want that, and we do, would you need buy-off from the other people on the street? I mean, does every person on our street, which is only 3 people to be fair, have to come up and say, yes, we want this? Or, I mean, because on longer streets it might be more complicated. Do we all have to show up on Tuesday and raise our hands and say yes?
No.
Okay.
No.
We're saying yes now.
Fantastic. And I do appreciate the questions, and I understand. I think we have one here. These are great questions. Yes, sir.
Just to go on that a little bit, at the beginning you said some of the owners way back when deeded the property over, the roads over, right? So why can't they do that? That way they're permanently done.
And that's the individual homeowner option that I was talking about. And that's what we would want to work with you individually. If you would like to do that, the city is happy to work with you and cover the cost of that. Again, these are individual property owner. It depends on your level of comfort.
I'm not in the yellow, but I was just,
Yeah.
I heard you say,
Yes.
the owners deeded them over and they're an owner. So,
Right. And to be fair, some of that, when I say owner, it was the developer did sections of road before the homes were built.
Still an owner,
Right. It's still an owner. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So great question. Well, we will all be here. Please feel free. Any of the maps, all of us that are available will have our name tags on. And thank you again so much for coming out tonight.